We're doing the Easter eggs and predictions for Season 5, Episode 15 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So beware spoilers, not caught up. So as this episode was really about Hale's background and how she got where she is now, and we see that she attended a Hydra school with some familiar faces or familiar names, with a younger Jasper Sitwell, who has been on Agent S.H.I.E.L.D. before, and then a younger Baron von Strucker. We have his kid right now, so it's cool tie in there. And then we got a newly de-aged Daniel Whitehall, and he was like the instructor of the class for these scenes. And I'll talk about that a bit later on. But throughout these flashbacks, we find out that Hydra really hates dogs, because their task is to get attached to these dogs, and then before graduating, they have to kill their weakness, similar to what Ward had to do back when he signed up to go join Hydra. So yeah, Hydra hates dogs, and the only person that we find out actually that doesn't or refuses to actually kill the dog is Ruby, which is really surprising. So she's probably not beyond redeemable, but I don't think their Agent Shield's gonna go that way. But it's a possibility, because she's the only one that had not killed the dog. So yeah, we find out that Daniel Whitehall has this new project going on at that time, and he's trying to fuse elements with a person, and he asks the class or whatever what kind of elements or whatever you would think would be a good substance or whatever to fuse with a person. And Baron von Strucker comes up with the idea of using the Tesseract because it's the most powerful thing that they have. But Hale actually says that it would be a risk to take something like that, because it would draw attention to Hydra, and they don't want that at the time. So yeah, and a lot of people are saying that this might be a reference to Absorbing Man, because they're talking about actual like putting a human in this machine and fusing it with different elements or whatever. So it's possible that it is a reference, but I don't think so. And we find out this machine is a newly reborn, like newly advised new super soldier serum, who made Captain America and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so that was a bulk of the actual flashbacks. And going back to the present day storyline, we see that Coulson is trying to figure out how to navigate his new surroundings as wanting to work with Hale and all that kind of stuff. And he's talking to Hale about her new team or whatever it's whoever the group is. But he compares the Superior to Ivan Drago, or says the name Ivan Drago. But Ivan Drago is a character from the Rocky series. I'm not sure how many movies actually in, because I've never actually really paid attention to them. But yeah, it's a reference to that. And he actually says the same line that he says in the first Iron Man, saying that this is not my first rodeo. So I really like that callback. And going back to the flashbacks again, I know this is a very far-fetched reference, but it's a possibility. We know that the flashback started in the 1990, because it was 28 years ago. So yeah, and we find out that Hale wanted to join the Air Force and become an astronaut and all that kind of stuff. And we know Agent Coulson is going to be in Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s. So I had for some odd reason thought of that actually being the case, of being like a reference to that, but I'm not exactly sure. So yeah. And we find out that Hydra has more different plans for Hale, because Daniel Whitehall wants to artificially inseminate Hale, so she can raise the next ruler of Hydra, so they could go through the Destroyer of Worlds program that was called Daniel Whitehall was creating. So yeah, and there is a a line that he says that you said. He says you have a choice to comply, which everyone who has watched the show knows there is no chance that he would who would have gave her a chance to actually deny that request. So there was no real complying there, because she would have just brainwashed him all right away. So yeah, and we find out that Hydra's been talking to aliens, the Confederation, since the Chitauri invasion. So yeah, I really like that tie-in there, and we hear we get a name drop of Gideon Malik, because apparently at this point of this flashback, when Hale is visiting this general or whatever, that's another part of Hydra, they name drop Gideon Malik, and they said that he was captured by Shield, which is in season 3 when Shield was captured by Gaira or whatever, and the Secret Warriors had to rescue them. So that's around that time frame there, so season 3-ish. And I don't know how they're able to I didn't know how they actually got me to feel sorry for this character, because I've never actually I didn't realize I actually cared about the character. I've always felt like he was like a comic relief character and all that kind of stuff. And in this episode, we saw the return of General Talbot, and he was in that flashback, the previous flashback with General Hale and another guy that was part of Hydra, and he caught them. But we flash forward to 6 months earlier or whatever flashback, and he has just woken up from the coma, and he's having a hard time remembering things, and he's getting so mad at his son and all that kind of stuff, because the son lied to him, and he's just saying, how am I supposed to get better and all that kind of stuff. And I just felt so bad for him. I never knew I had that much of attachment to him. I've never expected that. But going to the actual comic relief part of his character, he actually gives Ruby a new nickname called CrossFit Tinkerbell. And like all the other characters he's come across, he's not the nice, he doesn't get the nicest names, so this is a decent nickname, I guess. So yeah, and talking about a new nickname or whatever, we get Hale actually gives Coulson a new title to his name, because she invited Coulson to talk to the Confederation, and she's actually explaining to them that Coulson is one of the Earth's mightiest heroes, which is actually a reference to the Avengers, because the Avengers are the Earth's mightiest heroes, which ties back to how Fury feels about Coulson being an honorary member of what's called of Avengers. So it's a cool little tie-in there. So yeah, and a lot of people are saying that the ship that we saw in the Vision is Thanos' ship from Thor Ragnarok, but it's really not. It's actually 2 different ships. I don't know how to explain how it looks different, but they are 2 different ships. So I don't think it's a tie-in for Infinity War, but I could be wrong. It could be a different ship that's going to be in Infinity War, but I highly doubt it. And I don't know how they got to this. Hale got to this conclusion, but Hale gave a reference to Coulson saying that Daisy even sacrificed her boyfriend's life for the greater good or something like that. And I don't know where she got that information from, because Daisy did not want to sacrifice Lincoln's life. Lincoln sacrificed himself. So I don't know where she got that information from at all. But yeah, and I am surprised they actually went here, because when Daisy is trying to figure out how to save Coulson's life and all that kind of stuff, and Hale's plan and all that kind of stuff, and they couldn't just pass up the opportunity, and they actually said Hail Hydra as Hail is Hydra. So I'm surprised they actually went there. I don't know why I'm surprised, but I am. And there's a not big war going on, but there's a bit of arguments going around right now about how Daisy and Fitz are dealing with one another. Like the Daisy fans are actually pissed at Fitz for what he did, and Fitz is actually pissed off, or Fitz's fans are pissed off at Daisy for how she's reacting. I see where both sides are coming from. Like, it isn't totally Fitz's fault that what he did, because he blacked out the memories and all that kind of stuff, and he has a different personality. But he knew about this since he left the framework, and he never told anyone, which is risking his team's life. So it is his fault to an extent, and also where Daisy got tortured by Fitz, one of her friends, so she should be pissed off. And she is right about not wanting to let Fitz out of being locked out of that cage, because he is a risk to the team. So I see where both are coming from. And also she has a comment saying we don't turn on our own here, and he replies, "Do you want me to recount all the times that you've done it to us?" And he has an argument there. Yes, she's turned on her team, yes, but not to the extent he's thinking of, or even the fans in general. Like, there is only one time she's actually legitimately turned on her team, and that was in season 4. Other than that, she's never, she was taken by Hive, which is not under her control. Season 1, she's never turned on her team. She was helping the team the whole entire time, even when going back to Miles going to talk back to Miles or whatever. So, and then in season 2, she was in between a civil war that was going on between Shield and the Real Shield, and Shield and the Inhumans. So she never took anyone's side until she took Shield's side. So she never turned on them. And plus, in season 2, she was being hunted by Shield. So yeah, it was like Shield turned on her, and more like it. But yeah, he does have a point that she did turn on him, but also the fact that he really shouldn't be talking, because what she's done isn't as bad as what he has done in this season. So yeah, but I agree with both sides to an extent, but I know this is a very far-fetched reference or theory or whatever. I talked about it in my last video where I had a prediction about possibly having Robin be under control of Hale or whatever, because what she was saying about she was trying to save her or protect her survival or whatever. But in this episode, Daisy actually says we need every weapon in this fight we can get, or every weapon we can get in this fight, which is the same line that Hale said in episode 5 about Robin. So it's possibility that Robin does have, or Hale does have Robin, but I highly doubt it at this point. But yeah, and for more predictions, we actually have, I'm assuming we're going to have Ruby versus Daisy at the end of the season. And in the promo for this next coming episode, you see that Ruby and Krill are fighting one another, and I'm assuming Krill is trying to fight back, to protect Coulson maybe. I don't know, and I know this is probably also stretching as well. When they're dealing with Yo-Yo's arm, Mac says, "Do you need to consult Fitz on this?" And I'm assuming that's a line because they're going to actually have a problem going forward with Yo-Yo's arm. I don't know actually how or when or why, but I just felt like that there was a reason that they said that there, and that's all that I can think of for Easter eggs or references or predictions. So comment down below if you have any Easter eggs, or if I missed any Easter eggs or references, and also for predictions. See ya.